Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm Ryan in Singapore. Welcome to our mindfulness practice. Today's topic is emotions in the body. So, what we'll find is emotions are not something that exist only in the head. Although cognitively we do become aware from time to time, and we do perhaps sense more than simply in the head that we're experiencing something, but I do think that tends to be where it's most obvious, the feeling of any strong emotion, whether it be happiness or sadness or anger or fear. When we experience a strong emotion, we become at some point cognitively aware. And in the case of pleasant emotions or positive emotions, we may notice the positive feelings associated with them. And with unpleasant emotions, we may notice that we don't feel good, that the feeling of sadness is strong and we can become overwhelming. And same with the feelings of anger and fear, that they feel like they're here, and sometimes they can be overwhelming to the point that we think that they're going to be here forever. So maybe that's the first point, is that emotions are like thoughts. They are like sounds in our soundscape. They appear, they're here for a while, and then they go away. So just like everything else, they have a natural shelf life. And as much as it may feel like that sadness is going to last forever, it's akin to the sound of the jackhammer on the street. Okay, the sound of the jackhammer may be unpleasant, it may be invasive, it may be intrusive, it may be there for a while, but at some point, the shift is over. Those guys working on the street have to go home, and the jackhammer stops. And so it's similar with our emotions, that there are periods of times, although maybe the shift sometimes can be a bit longer for the jackhammer workers in our minds. They do end though, and they do have their period of being here and not being here. So that's one important thing to recognize, is that emotions and the experience of emotions aren't lasting forever. But today's topic about emotions in the body are that emotions are experienced cognitively, and that is really probably the way that we experience emotions most naturally, is becoming aware that we are feeling that emotion, whatever it may be. But one of the real big advantages to practicing mindfulness is that it gives you a key to identifying emotions before you could normally, without mindfulness, be aware of them. And that's that emotions are not simply located here, or not solely located here. Is that emotions are experiential in that they cause physical sensations in the body. So there's this triangle, and actually it's maybe that's the most simplified version of it. It's of course it's more simple than just a triangle, but it's the one way to teach it, to help it become more cognitively aware, or help us be more cognitively aware, is that we have thoughts, we have emotions, and we have physical sensations. And these three things, which may seem distinct, actually are interrelated with one another. That thoughts cause emotions, which cause physical sensations, which cause more thoughts, which cause more emotions, which cause more physical sensations. And especially when we're mind wandering, we can see that kind of loop self-perpetuates. that all of these things keep going. And so, when you have a physical sensation, you might have an opinion about that physical sensation. When I woke up in the middle of the night last night to shift positions, it was like there was a sensation in my back, in my mid back of pain, right? And there was a thought that says, my back hurts, right? And that caused an emotion of, I don't know what emotion it was. It's not fear, it's not sadness, it's maybe frustration, right? And so that frustration can cause more physical sensations, can cause and as well affect my body in other ways, affect my heart rate to increase. And that increase of heart rate makes it harder to go back to sleep, right? And I could, if I were very mindful when I wake up in the middle of the night, become aware that my heart rate has increased. I can go back to feeling the sensation of breath, which very often can help the heart rate decrease and help us to go back to sleep. So, this is mindfulness. Mindfulness is that awareness of what's happening in any given moment, and that it includes, and maybe one of the especially important aspects of mindfulness practice is observing the physical sensations that may normally just fly under the radar, and that these emotions that cause physical sensations do so in a routine way. And you will find, if you examine your emotions long enough, that there are patterns in the way a particular emotion shows up in the body. That fear can feel like a sickness in the stomach, coldness in the extremities. And when I say can feel like, because the way I experience fear and the way you experience fear is never going to be exactly the same. In fact, each time I experience fear is going to be different from the last time. But there are some commonalities that allow us to become more familiar and more aware. And this is something we kind of chatted about last time as well, is that in mindfulness, it is a process of being aware and accepting things the way that they are. So a turning towards, in this case, let's say fear, turning towards our fear instead of running away from fear, wishing the fear were gone. It's this acceptance, this knowing that it is here, and turning towards it to look at it, to examine it closely, when, of course, we have the capability to do so. This is why it's a practice, is that it's something that takes time and it takes practice doing, right? The most extreme fear, turning towards, looking at it and absorbing it exactly the way it is probably not something that is going to be very possible for someone who's just beginning. And that this is the advanced practice. It's like, you don't go to the gym and the first day expect to lift all the heaviest weights in the gym, right? We need a little bit of time to build up that strength. So it's like, can we take baby steps? Look at the smaller things first and look at emotions that are possible to be examined before we look at the really difficult stuff and become familiar with that. So, and by the way, as we move into more topics, as we talk about meditation, one of the words for meditation, the word for meditation in Tibetan is gom, and that means to familiarize, to habituate. And so this is meditation. It is to familiarize ourselves with what's going on, right? So what is fear? What does fear feel like? And one of the great things about observing emotions as they manifest as bodily sensations is that you can become aware of your emotion earlier than if you're simply cognitively aware of it. And there have been some studies showing that this is in fact the case, that our bodies become aware. Our bodies, when experiencing emotions, show symptoms of those emotions before anything up here starts to happen, that we have any awareness of what's going on. Our palms start to sweat, our heartbeat changes, our rate of breath increases. And if we, through practice, through becoming aware of how our bodies change with emotion, can start to tune in to the changing of our bodies, of our breath, of our heartbeat, we can begin to have early warning of emotions that we otherwise wouldn't know were happening. And so that kind of lets me know, as I'm having that engagement with a person who has a different viewpoint than I am, than I have. I can feel, hey, wait a minute, there's a tightness in my chest. I can feel the rate of my breath increasing. I can feel a little bit of sweat. I can feel heat. I'm getting a bit riled up. I'm getting a bit angry in this conversation. And through my knowledge of my anger, I know that I'm going to become less rational in the next few minutes as I have this conversation. Can I take some steps? Can this awareness of this strong emotion make it so that maybe I disengage a little bit. Maybe I don't talk as much as I would have because I'm bound to do something unskillful when I am in the throes of my emotional response. Thanks everybody for being here. Thank you for your engagement in the chat. Thanks, Jean. Ruben refers to emotions as energies in motion, emphasizing the temporary nature of emotion. Thanks. Thanks for sharing that. The body holds score. Ruben, by the way, is another excellent teacher here on Insight Timer. His name is Ruben Lowe. You can check him out sometime. Just want to shout out to Ruben. And let's go ahead and take this time to get into our practice. So today we will be doing the body scan, and I'm going just to add in a little bit today to try to help us become aware and start working on sensations in the body. So won't be scanning through the entire body today, but just spending a little bit more time to try to observe how emotions show up in the body. So get yourself comfortable. Find a meditation posture that works for you. It could be sitting on a cushion with your back straight. Remembering that the meditation posture is this combination of relaxation and alertness. If you're sitting on a chair or even on your sofa, I would encourage you to bring your body forward. So sit on the edge of the sofa, sit on the edge of your chair so that your back is away from the backrest, so that you're able to sit up straight. And this really does help with the meditation. So you'll notice the quality of your meditation changes if you're sitting up straight. So let's start by noticing the sensation of the body resting against something. So as gravity pulls down on us, we don't plummet to the center of the earth. There is something that pushes back. So tune into that. That leaves a physical sensation in the body. And that physical sensation is called pressure. So you can feel pressure against your buttocks. In my case, sitting here cross-legged, I can feel the sensation of the zabuton on my shins. I can feel the sensation of my feet My left foot is touching, the sole of my left foot is touching my right leg. The back of my left foot is touching the zabuton. Maybe your feet are against the floor as you're sitting on a chair. So seeing if maybe you can draw the outline of where your body is being touched, where it's not being touched. So my entire buttocks are not in contact with the cushion. There actually is an area where they are not. And in fact, as I really tune in, I notice that my left buttock is more in contact with my cushion than my right buttock is. So can you bring attention to little details like that? Can you notice where pressure is greater, where pressure is less? And so using this contact, or this awareness of contact between your body and the cushion, kind of calibrate your awareness to bring you into this present moment right now. And so let's begin to shift our attention slightly upwards, noticing the belly, the movement of the belly as you breathe. So with each breath, the belly rises, the abdomen expands. With each breath out, the belly falls. The abdominal wall moves back towards the spine. And so now I'd like to invite you to explore who it is that's showing up today. And how are you showing up? Noticing the residual feelings of what it is you've just come from. So maybe it's the end of your day and you've had a long day. You're noticing whatever a long day makes you feel like. Or like me, it's the beginning of your day. And it's anticipation of the rest of the day that's shaping how you're feeling right now. So just notice who is showing up and how you're showing up. And so although we're here right now in this moment, we'll find that it's impossible to let things from the past or things from the future to not have any effect on you. So just being aware of that, accepting that as you tune your attention in to the rising and falling of the abdomen as you breathe. So as best you can, concentrating that attention there. So thoughts about the past, thoughts about the future, which may have risen up a few moments ago as was talking about how you're showing up. Is it possible to let go of all of those thoughts and instead be present with this sensation of breathing right now? If a thought does come up, just be aware of it. Accept, hey, this thought has come. And through that awareness, see if that thought can just dissolve into the background. It's like touching a soap bubble, just popping it with awareness. That thought is like a sound. It's here for a while, and then, especially when you bring attention to it, it can dissolve into the background. And then you can refocus attention back onto this feeling of breathing at the abdomen. And whatever other physical sensations you can experience in the abdomen right now. And so as we've been focusing there on this single area for a while, what have you noticed about your body? Has anything changed in these last few moments? Maybe the pace of the breath has decreased. Maybe the heart rate has decreased. Or maybe this time of silence has caused more thinking and your heart rate has increased and your pace of breath has increased. It doesn't matter. There's no right way or right thing to have happened. Is it possible just to be aware of what's happened? So let me encourage you now to, perhaps on the next exhale, release your attention of the movement of the abdomen. and guide your attention up towards the chest. So what can you feel in your chest right now? Can you feel the rib cage expanding and contracting as you breathe? Can you feel the heart beating inside the chest? And some of us can, some of us can't. It's more of a biological thing than a practice thing, although practice can really help those of us who can tune into our heartbeats to tune in with a little bit more resolution. So what do you experience as you examine the chest? What do you notice? And so now, I'm just going to lead you on a guided reflection. And so if it's the end of your day, see if you can reflect back on the best thing that happened to you today. It can be, maybe you had some monumentous, fantastic thing that happened, or maybe the best thing that happened to you today was your morning cup of coffee, that first sip. I don't know. Just whatever it is that was your best thing that happened to you today. See if you can bring that memory into your mind and see if you can bring back all of the detail of that memory as if you were there right now. The weather, what was that like? The environment. Were you inside? Were you outside? Can you remember the smells of that environment? Can you remember the people that were around you? And so now, see if you can bring your attention back into your chest. What sensations are you experiencing? So don't label the emotion necessarily here. Just become aware of the physical sensations that you feel right now, with no cognition around it. Do you notice a shift? And can you describe to yourself what that feels like? And now, with a few breaths, letting go of that memory. Being aware of the sensation of breath and the present moment. And now we'll shift. So I know many of us keep in touch with the news, with what's going on in the world. I'd just like to invite you to shift your attention to something that you read or saw on the news that made you unhappy, let's say. So, and it doesn't have to be a 10 on a 1 to 10. It's kind of why we choose the news. Not something to be super personal, but just something that when you discovered this information, you felt a little bit worse when you discovered it. So see if you can bring that moment into your mind. And now, see if you can shift your attention to the chest. Can you notice a subtle difference in physical sensation? Just dwell with it for a moment. And now seeing if you can let go of your memory of that emotion, that memory of that event that happened, or discovering that this had happened, and just focusing again on the feeling of breath in the chest. And just that, nothing more, just the feeling of breathing. So thank you everyone for going on this little journey with me today. We'll close our practice now with 3 rings of the bell, and after the sound of the bell has subsided, feel free to begin to transition out of your meditation by opening your eyes, moving around in any way you like. All right. Thanks for practicing with me. Thanks for being here with everyone today. And I'd just like to ask, how did it go today? What did you experience? What, maybe if you like, you can disclose what you thought about in those times and did those thoughts bring up emotions? And maybe even more interesting, not the emotion so much as the physical sensation that you experienced. So just a moment, have a think about that, and write whatever is coming up for you. And I hear some scratching at the door, so I'm gonna go, and I'll be right back. Okay, the real star of the show's here. I knew it. This is you never look happy. This is happy. Yeah. So what happened? It's always got to get some shameless Frank cameos. What bodily sensations did you experience as you did the practice today? And for me, I did think about that first sip of coffee. I mean, that was my joyous, my happy moment. and there, what I experienced was a little bit of a lightening in the chest. I felt a feeling of ease. Jean says, thinking of news, there's so much. Anger comes up, tightness in chest, clenching in the jaw. Thanks for sharing, Jean. That's one of the reasons that I chose the news, is because I thought about it and realized that the news these days is, it's really designed to create negative emotions, and most of us engage with it and experience the negative emotions associated with it. So I thought that was a pretty easy go-to, especially because it's not most of the time personal to us. It doesn't have a direct effect on our lives. So it's just kind of like something that has enough distance that when we think about the news, that it creates some sensations, but usually not ones that are overwhelming. Marina, thanks for sharing, says it felt good, and I've noticed a huge difference between relaxation and deep breath versus clenching jaws, teeth, and fast heartbeat in my neck. Thanks, Marina, for sharing. At the same time, I felt all the time really good tension in my butt. Thanks for sharing. And it's good, this is it. This is the practice. The practice is this awareness of what's going on in any given moment. The news is one of those things as well that we can use, especially in our own personal practice, because when you end up having some kind of negative emotion and you're engaged with another person, then the level tends to be higher and the consequences tend to be a bit higher too. So when we choose to engage, or in fact we don't choose to engage skillfully. Cece says, felt tightness in the chest and throat, had to stop. Okay. Had to stop lap swimming because someone. That's not very pleasant, is it? Yeah, that's for sure. That's the one thing about having little kids that happens from time to time. As much as I try my best to be a good parent, when you've got a 2-year-old. Granted, swim diapers are always a must, but still. Anyway, thanks for sharing, Cece. So this is the real question. Can we use these emotions in the body to start to take action as to what happens next? We do have a choice of what happens next. We are not blindly led around by our emotions, or maybe I should say we don't have to be blindly led around by our emotions. That mindfulness gives us that first step to take a more skillful and more purposeful approach to how we deal with and engage with each part of our lives. So, my pleasure as always in hosting these live events. I don't know if it's gone live yet or not, but I just released a new free track. It's still waiting for approval. I've got a new body scan meditation that's coming out, and what's different about it is just kind of the approach. It's a track that I took from a live event just a little while ago, just like 2 weeks ago, and just to give an option for a different way to do the body scan. So. If you enjoyed today's practice, I'd say the best way for you to support me is to listen to my premium tracks. Would appreciate that a lot. And I'm going to be starting to work on some courses so that there's more variety and more things that you can listen to when I'm not here live. So look out for those. What else you can do is, well, you can listen to free tracks, helps. You could also donate. These are all quite helpful for me as a teacher, and help keep my keep things going and keep me here and doing what I love doing, and hosting these practice sessions with you as well. Yeah, happy Lunar New Year. That's not today. I think tomorrow. It's tomorrow. So New Year dinner is tonight. It's called reunion dinner. So I'll be having reunion dinner with my family, and I'll see you guys on the day after Chinese New Year. So about 47 hours from now, and we'll be talking about our next topic. And our next topic is, in fact, respond rather than react, which builds beautifully off of today's topic. Thanks, Rachel, for your donation. And thanks, everybody, for being here. Let's close practice the way that we do, which is sending our well wishes to ourselves and to all of those who are here today. So follow along with me if you like. May I be happy and peaceful. May everyone watching, listening, wherever you are, I wish you all happiness and peace. May all sentient life here on planet Earth and throughout the universe, may we all be happy and peaceful. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, everybody. Do take care. Have a lovely day or evening wherever you are. And I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.